You found yourself on another edition of Let 'em Know Kings in the 313, and on today's episode, what a game at the Golden One Center last night as Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, and De'Aaron Fox lead the Kings to a gritty and tough 132-127 overtime thriller at the Golden One Center in Sacramento last night. Also, the Detroit Pistons went 2-0 this weekend, while the Cavs, oh boy, I'm a little concerned about them. We'll rapid fire those games and a whole lot more on today's edition of Let 'em Know Kings in the 313. Let's go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in the place to be, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Pistons from the D. This is Let 'em Know Kings in the 313. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings in the 313. This, of course, is your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Detroit Pistons post-game reaction podcast. And I, of course, am your host, Tyler Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always, to this great show. We have a good program coming up for you today before the Detroit Pistons and the OKC Thunder play some basketball tonight. We're going to preview that matchup coming up in the final segment. But before we kick this show off the right way, I would like to remind you all that you can find Let 'em Know Kings in the 313 in the following platforms: Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, and Pandora, and basically wherever you can find Let 'em Know Kings in the 313, we are right there. If you can please give the show a follow on the platforms, turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. I recommend you turn on your notifications. I recommend that you turn on your notifications because we are probably going to post content almost every single freaking day during the NBA season. When the Cavs, Kings, or Pistons play, you already know there's going to be a show. So turn your notifications on so you will be notified when the next episode of Let 'em Know Kings in the 313 is going to be. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and please give Let 'em Know Kings in the 313 a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And by the way, I want to thank each and every one of you for helping me get this show over 100 plays of the Let 'em Know Kings in the 313 podcast. It really, truly means the world to me, and I thank you guys for the love and the support of this podcast. Coming up later on the show, we're going to recap the Detroit Pistons 2 games over the weekend, 2 dubs, by the way, for the Detroit Pistons, as well as preview the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Detroit Pistons matchup coming up tonight, and also what is going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers? I think I know what the problem is after an 0-2 weekend. But first, we're going to talk about the Sacramento Kings. And let me just say, what a game last night was at the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. I mean, let me just say this for the record. The Golden One Center is one of, if not the best home court advantage in the Western Conference right now. I'm sorry, Golden State Warrior fans, you're not into this conversation. I mean, I love the Chase Center, but your team is nothing but entitled little you-know-what. So I'm going to leave it at that. But anyway, this was a game where LeBron James, 20 years ago to the day, he made his NBA debut when he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Sacramento Kings. Back in 2003, he finished with 27 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists in 39 minutes. He had 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds on October 29th, 2003, in a loss to the Sacramento Kings in their former arena, which at the time was Arco Arena. Well, 20 years later, LeBron James took it out back to Los Angeles because the Sacramento Kings, ladies and gentlemen, got a gritty, heartfelt, W over the LA Lakers, because let me tell you something. I really liked the pace that the Sacramento Kings were coming with. All right? They were really, really quick, especially in transition. They wanted to make LA work, and for the most part, I think we made the LA Lakers work for every single basket. Mike Brown said after the game, this was a gritty win by our team. We're making steps in the right direction. We had a lot of great performances from a lot of people. And Malik Monk was big for the Sacramento Kings, especially for overtime. He scored 11 of his 22 points in overtime and fed Kevin Huerter for a key dagger-filled three-pointer with 32 seconds left. And this is the same Red Velvet that struggled from the field against the Golden State Warriors. Okay? This is a guy that went 0-4 against Golden State. It was so bad that I dropped him from my NBA ESPN basketball team. I do NBA fantasy basketball this year. I used to have Jaden Ivey, dropped him. I used to have Kevin Huerter, dropped him. I replaced him with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Max Strus from the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think two better replacements, KCP and Strus. But anyway, Kevin Huerter, I'm really happy for him. I really am, because he really needed a bounce-back game, and boy, did he do that. He did that big time, hitting a dagger three with 32 seconds left, and the Golden One Center, I mean, it was loud as the day is long. I couldn't even hear myself think watching this game, trying to think of like good material for the podcast, because the Golden One Center, the Sacramento Kings home fans showed up and showed out. But shout out to the Sacramento Kings for a really gritty win. I also want to shout out for a lot of people. Keegan Murray. Look, this guy, he battled. This guy battled with his heart tonight, and I didn't really like how Mike Brown yelled at Keegan Murray to shoot, because the LA Lakers, this team, to me, on defense, was trying to take Keegan Murray's three-point shot away. And I understand that. Keegan Murray set the rookie record for most threes in a rookie season last year. So I want to give credit to the LA Lakers for coming up with a game plan to stop Keegan Murray. Did they do that? Hell no. For the most part. Mike Brown yelled at Keegan Murray so loud to the point that he threatened to get Keegan Murray the hell up out of there. He threatened to get Keegan Murray the hell up out of there and replaced him with Sasha Vezenkov, a good three-point shooter in his own right. Keegan Murray made a three. Mike Brown told Sasha, you know what? We don't need you. Sit back down. He got the message, and he better not do it again, because if he did it again, Sasha Vezenkov would probably be playing the rest of the game. I wouldn't say starting lineup, because Keegan Murray is still a starter, but in any event, good response for Keegan Murray there. Malik Monk, he was absolutely huge. He was absolutely huge for the Sacramento Kings tonight. As again, he came up really big when who missed 9 of his first 13 shots, was perfect for all four attempts he took in overtime. He made 2 3-pointers, assisted on Huerter's game-sealing 3 that gave the Kings a 130-125 lead, then sealed the win with a pair of free throws with 15 seconds remaining. And by the way, Domantas Sabonis, he did what he normally does. I don't really like his ball handling, though. That's the only thing that I don't like about Domantas Sabonis. He needs to learn how to secure the ball a little better, especially in transition, because I think that every time Domantas dribbles the ball, he loses it. He loses the ball, and it is allowing the LA Lakers to attack in transition. But I cannot say enough about De'Aaron Fox. This dude is a bad man. Okay, we all know that Steph Curry is one of the coldest shooters in the history of the game. Let's be honest with here. But De'Aaron Fox is that dude. This brother is something special. This man dropped nearly 40 again. I think he had 39 points. I got to check the box score. He had 37 points and 8 assists for the Sacramento Kings tonight. Last night, I should say. Scoring 8 points in the final 6 minutes of regulation after returning from an ankle injury earlier in the fourth quarter. And Sabonis added 12 points and 15 rebounds before fouling out. And I got a little bit of bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news as far as the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, he suffered a moderate ankle sprain, and he gonna miss time, and that means he gonna miss the rematch between the Kings and the Warriors coming up this week. That is a little bit of bad news for Sacramento, because in order to beat the Golden State Warriors, you need to have a team effort, but unfortunately for Sacramento, I don't think you're gonna have De'Aaron Fox for this game. You might be all right as far as depth goes. I think Malik Monk will be in the starting lineup along with Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, HB, and Domantas Sabonis, but I'm not Mike Brown. I'm not the head coach of the Kings, but that's just my prediction as far as the starting lineup. But a good, gritty win. A good, gritty win against a really deep and really talented Laker team that Anthony Davis did his job for the most part. LeBron James, he did what he always does. Taurean Prince knocked down a couple of threes, and D'Angelo Russell, for the most part, did all right. Rui Hachimura did great coming off the bench. Austin Reeves, I'm surprised we contained Austin Reeves. I thought Austin Reeves was going to be more dangerous, but we did a really good job of containing him. The stats for this game: 47% shooting for the field for Sacramento, 44 for the LA Lakers, 35 to 33 percentile from three-point range, so pretty even Steven there. The free throw percentage, I think the Lakers were much more aggressive than us, 26 to 17 as far as free throw makes. The attempts, the Lakers beat us by 10, so they were the more aggressive team in that regard. But the assist numbers, 30 to 27 in favor of Sacramento. The turnovers, 12 to 10 in favor of the Lakers. Not that good. Fast break points, 22 to 7 in favor of the Lakers. We knew that the Lakers were going to be the better transition team coming in, so I'm not surprised on that stat. Points in the paint, we won that 56 to 44. The steals were 6 to 4 in favor of Sacramento. The blocks were 7 to 4 in favor of Sacramento as well. So really good defensive game plan for the Sacramento Kings in this win. Anthony Davis for the Lakers finished with 30 points. He had 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. LeBron James, 27 points for the King, 15 rebounds, 8 assists. He did his job for the most part. Taurean Prince came out of nowhere, shooting 5 of 13 from three-point range, scoring 20 points with 3 rebounds. Rui Hachimura off the bench was impressive with 11 points, as well as Christian Wood. He balled out in the first half, and he didn't play much in the second half because Darvin Ham is a dumbass coach. I have to say that. To all my Laker fans out there, I'm sorry. You ain't gonna win much with Darvin Ham as your head coach. I'm just saying. If you want to join the Sacramento Kings bandwagon, if you want to join the Beam team, by all means, come on in. But I'm just saying, the Lakers ain't going nowhere with Darvin Ham as your head coach. I am just saying that for the record. As far as the Kings, De'Aaron Fox, he cooked 37 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. He got one player in the air. I don't remember who it was. I think Anthony Davis got faked in a spin move, put him in a spin cycle. Was Anthony Davis on an airplane? Because he went on a freaking flight, ladies and gentlemen. That was nasty. Malik Monk off the bench, 22 points with 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Really good game by him. Kevin Huerter, a great bounce-back game for him. 12 points, 3 of 7 from three-point range with 7 rebounds and 4 assists. He needed that for his confidence big time. Keegan Murray, 3 for 9 from 3, 17 points. He finished with 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Domantas Sabonis, a double-double with 12 and 15. Sasha Vezenkov, 11 points and 4 rebounds. This was a gritty win. A gritty win by the Sacramento Kings against a really good team. Another division win, which is really crucial. They're 2-1 heading to Golden State. A chance for redemption for the Kings on the road, but they're going to be without De'Aaron Fox. But I think this Sacramento Kings team has a lot of talent to get it done. We're going to see how it plays out come Wednesday, but great win for the Sacramento Kings. A gritty overtime thriller against a division opponent. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavs 0-2 weekend, and I think I know what the main problem for the Cavs is. We're going to get into that when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313. Let's go a little bit of rapid fire here and talk about the 0-2 weekend for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are now 1-2 to start the regular season after a tough 108-105 loss against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then this team lost another tight game to the Indiana Pacers. Both of them came off of really big runs by the opposing teams, as the Thunder beat the Cavs by a final score of 108-105, and then the Indiana Pacers beat the Cavs 125-113. I think the Indiana Pacer game was much more about how the Indiana Pacers flowed a little bit better on the offensive end compared to Cleveland. But I want to talk about the Thunder game for a quick second, because for the longest time, I thought that the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to win this game. I mean, the Cavs got off to a better start than OKC was in complete control for the first half. The Cavs scored 33 big points in the third quarter, and it was a really, really weird game for Cleveland. I mean, the Cavs had 26 points in the first quarter, only 16 in the second, 33 in the third, and then 30 in the fourth. But the big difference was that the Thunder had an 11-0 run and closed the game in a 15-3 run to steal the Cavaliers' home opener. And this Thunder team trailed 102-93 with under 2 minutes left before getting 3 straight three-pointers. One by Holmgren, one by Dort, and I think another by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if I remember correctly. But the Thunder, I gotta give the Thunder credit. My brother is a really, really big fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's his favorite team, and I can see why. This Thunder team, I'm telling you right now, they might be 2-1. They had a tough loss against the Denver Nuggets. They play the Detroit Pistons tonight, and it is ironic that I'm talking about the Thunder, because this is going to be part of my keys to victory for the Detroit Pistons against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But this team is really, really something special. Really, really something special, because Chet Holmgren is something special. He missed all of last year due to an injury that he suffered in Summer League. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looks like an MVP candidate. Jay Will almost won Rookie of the Year. Dort looks like something special. And I cannot forget about the head coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I think that coach, I don't remember what his name is, but it looks like to me that this coach is giving the Oklahoma City Thunder some hope. And I really love the future for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got like 15 or some draft picks in the course of the next couple of years. So you better watch out, Western Conference, because not only are the OKC Thunder coming, but I think the OKC Thunder are going to be for real in a couple of years from now. But Donovan Mitchell, he tried his best to put the Cavs right back into the game. He finished with 43 points while I have to work extra hard for Cleveland, because Jared Allen, we all knew we had an ankle injury, but a late scratch for Darius Garland, and that was a really big surprise. But this one had a brutal ending for the Cavs as the Cavs choked in the final minutes of the game. Donovan Mitchell said they made some big shots in that run, but everything else is self-inflicted. We can't shoot ourselves in the foot in that way. We're not going to hang our heads on this one. It's fixable. I don't know if it's fixable, Donovan. I completely disagree with that. Because I think through 2 games, we are weak in 2 areas. We are weak, obviously, on the defensive end, and we're not learning how to finish games right now. It's that simple. We are not learning how to finish games. I mean, you could have been 2-0. You could have been 2-0. Hell, you could have been 2-1 right now. You could have been 2-1. You could have beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. You could have lost against Indiana, which has the number 1 offense in the NBA right now. I know through 3 games, so I gotta put that context out there. But you could have been 2-1 going in to the game against the Knicks, and everything would be all right. But did you do that? No. You chose to go 1-2. You chose to choke the game against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the final minutes, and then you chose to choke again to an Indiana team that is the number 1 offense in the NBA right now. The Indiana Pacers were scoring at will, and we couldn't do nothing. We couldn't do nothing to stop it, although the Cavs did compete against Indiana, even though the former Indiana Pacer, Karis LeVert, went off for 20 points in the first quarter. He finished with 31, but my God, the Cavs need to learn how to finish. That's like the only weak spot that I'm seeing from Cleveland right now. They have to learn how to finish games, and they have to learn how to play team defense, especially with guys like Darius Garland and Jared Allen out. And by the way, they were without Donovan Mitchell against the Indiana Pacers, and that really showed its will. But really quickly, the stats for the OKC Thunder game for the Cavs. They shot 41% from the field, 26% from three-point range. Especially with shooters like George Niang and Max Strus, that's not good enough. 78% for the foul line, 79% for the Oklahoma City Thunder, if you could round it up. 74% from the free throw line for Cleveland. The rebounds, the Cavs won that edge slightly. The points of the paint were 48-38 in favor of Cleveland. The turnovers, 18-14 Thunder. Blocks, 10-8 OKC. The steals, 10-8 Cleveland. Assists, 22-20 in favor of the OKC Thunder. And it was a very, very high-scoring affair, but OKC got the better of it. Chet Holmgren, 16 points, 13 rebounds, 7 blocks, and a steal. Look out for him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 34 points, 11 rebounds, 5 steals, and 4 assists. Giddey got 6 rebounds. Lou Dort did a really good job with 25 points in this game, shooting 3 for 4 from a three-point land. As far as the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, for the most part, it was his night. 43 points, 4 for 11 from 3. He had 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. But again, the Cleveland Cavaliers right now are looking like a team that has to learn how to finish games, and they need to learn how to do it quickly because they got a New York Knicks team that is maybe trying to do the same thing to the Cleveland Cavaliers as it did come the NBA playoffs. But now I want to talk about the Indiana Pacer game, who has the number 1 offense in the NBA right now. They are number 1 in scoring. They are number 1 in offensive rating. And this performance by the Indiana Pacers showed. I mean, Aaron Nesmith scored a career-high 26 points, and the point guard, Tyrese Halliburton, finished with 21 points, 13 assists, and a rebound. And the Cavs played without 3 starters. Donovan Mitchell with a right hamstring soreness. That was a late scratch. DG missed his 2nd straight game with a hamstring strain. And Jared Allen missed a 3rd straight game due to a left ankle bone bruise. He also remained out. Neesmith, who signed a 3-year contract extension earlier in the week, had 17 points in the first half and finished with 9 rebounds. The 6'5" forward was acquired last summer in a trade with the Celtics, where he spent his first 2 seasons. And right now, that trade is looking like a damn charm for the Indiana Pacers. Donovan Mitchell was walking with a pronounced limp following the 108-105 home loss to OKC on Friday night. The four-time All-Star scored 43 points in 42 minutes against the Thunder, but Cleveland blew a 9-point lead in the final 2 minutes. According to Jamie Bickerstaff, he said Donovan has some tightness that we don't want to play around with. The guys we had went out and competed their tails off, and I like that. I like the fact that the Cavs competed against Indiana. I think they showed better effort with the Pacer game compared to the Thunder game, as well as competing those. But unfortunately, when you have guys like Neesmith, Tyrese Halliburton, and Miles Turner making shots aggressively, and then when Indiana is a team that can generate threes, can generate a lot of offense quick, it's going to be really, really hard to come back from that, especially against electric offenses like an Indiana's, like a Sacramento, like a Golden State, like a Milwaukee, like an Atlanta, for example. So for the Cavs, again, I think their defense is still a really, really weak spot for them, but I did like in this game that Evan Mobley was playing aggressive. He had 33 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 blocks for Cleveland. And Karis LeVert started at the point. He had 31 points and 8 assists. He scored 21 points in the first quarter, Karis LeVert. He went off on that. Strus had a comeback game with 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. But unfortunately, the Indiana offense was way too much for the Cavs to deal with, but they did a nice job at competing. And for a 1-2 team, that's what you like to see. It's early in the year. I think the Cavs will bounce back, but they're going to have to do it quickly against the New York Knicks team that knocked the Cleveland Cavs out of the playoffs last year. They did shoot 43% from the field. Cleveland didn't, compared to 49% for Indiana. Better three-point percentage, a slight advantage for Indiana, but overall it was pretty even. The free-throw percentage, again, that's another really telling stat. You can't shoot 62% from the free throw line and expect to win games. That can't happen. That can't happen. When you get free throw line opportunities, you gotta make them. And credit to Indiana, they made the better of the free throw opportunities, 82% compared to 62.5% for Cleveland. That's not good enough. I don't care if you're competing for the East. I don't care if you are competing for the Central Division. That is not good enough against an Indiana team. That is just really, really not good enough. 52 offensive rebounds. 252 rebounds for Cleveland, 48 for Indiana. The assist numbers, 36-29 for Indiana. The Pacers did a really good job of sharing the basketball. The blocks were 6-4 in favor of Cleveland. The steals were 3-2 in favor of Indiana. The total turnovers, 8-7. It was a clean game for the most part, but it was about the offense, more specifically the offense of the Indiana Pacers. And Malathernan had a really good game with 13 points. The point guard, Tyrese Halliburton, as I said earlier, 21 points and 13 assists. Miles Turner had a double-double with 20 and 12. Neesmith had 26 coming off the bench with 9 rebounds for Indiana. As far as Cleveland, Karis LeVert and Evan Mobley really stood out for the most part. Mobley finished with 33 points to lead the team in scoring, along with 14 rebounds and 3 assists. He also had 3 big blocks in this game. Karis LeVert had 31 points after a 21-point first quarter. He was 4 for 10 from the 3-point mark. He also had 5 rebounds and 8 assists in that game. Strus did a really good job in this game with 21 points. He was 4 for 9 from 3. He also had 11 rebounds, a double-double for him. George Niang made his first 3-point in the regular season as a Cab, but finished with 7 points. Overall, I think Cleveland, I don't want to overreact, but I think we need to work on 2 things. We need to work on the defensive end, and we need to work on finishing games, or else we are going to be in really, really, really big trouble. But a team that I said that you got to watch out for, you got to watch out for the Detroit Pistons. They went 2-0 over the weekend on wins against Charlotte and Chicago. We're going to break those down as well as preview the OKC Thunder game tonight, coming up next right after this break. Final segment here on Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313, and did anyone notice the new identity of the Detroit Pistons? Because over the weekend, the Detroit Pistons imposed their new identity under new head coach Monty Williams over dominant wins over Charlotte and Chicago. And let me just say this, they took care of business in both games. Not just one, but 2 games against teams that were terrible last year. Now, granted, the Chicago Bulls made it to the play-in, but right now, they have no idea what their identity is. I'm speaking of Chicago, and by the way, I love the city of Chicago, and I love the United Center. It's one of my favorite arenas in the NBA. Me and my girl are following the Chicago Bulls because we made Chicago our adopted winter home as a winter city, but my freaking God, the Detroit Pistons showed the Chicago Bulls, you got no identity, bruh. You're in an identity crisis in Chicago right now, but I'm going to talk about Chicago in just a second. I want to start by talking about the Detroit Pistons dominating, dismantling, and out-physicaling the Charlotte Hornets 111-99. They just got bullied. The Charlotte Hornets literally got bullied by the Detroit Pistons, and you love to see it. You love to see it. Big Stu gave the new identity. Isaiah Stewart, a.k.a. Big Stu, cooking up that Big Stu in the 704 for the 313, baby. Big Stu said, and I quote, "Our main goal as a team is to play physical and get into more people on defense. That's just our identity and what we're trying to do." And boy, oh boy, did the Detroit Pistons impose their will against the Charlotte Hornets. And you can argue that they imposed their will against the Chicago Bulls as well. Cade Cunningham, who had 30 points in the season opener against the Heat, was held to 12 points of 4-13 shooting before fouling out. But guess what? The Detroit Pistons didn't even need him. They didn't even need the number 1 overall pick. They didn't even need the number 2 out of Oklahoma State. This is the 6'6" Cade Cunningham. Shout out to my man Mason. But the number 1 overall pick in 2021, they were better. They were bigger, stronger, faster, and tougher, and more aggressive than the Hornets, winning the battle on the glass 52-41 while scoring 16 second chance points to Charlotte 7. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Monty Williams, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're telling the boys during practice. I don't know what you did during training camp, but I like that energy, bro. I like that new energy that my childhood team for the 313 is coming with. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you keep doing this identity, the Detroit Pistons gonna surprise some people. The Pistons might surprise some people come the end of the season. It's early right now, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And this was a Pistons type of ball game. There were 52 fouls called, and plenty of bodies ended up on the hardwood. Some with fouls called and others not. Detroit was 21 for 25 from the free throw line, while Charlotte went 26 for 34. The Pistons used a scrappy physical defense to set the tone during an early 13-0 run en route to a 54-47 time lead, 54-47 halftime lead. And guess what? They did not look back. Steve Clifford said for the Charlotte Hornets after the game, we got badly out-physicaled, and Jalen Duren is the MVP of the game. Let me talk to you about Jalen Duren. If you don't know the name, y'all better learn the name, because Jalen Duren, a.k.a. the Junkyard Dog, showed up and showed out against the Charlotte Hornets, and actually, he showed up and showed out against the Detroit Pistons, but overall, it was a great win for the Detroit Pistons. 1-1. Shout out to Monty Williams, the first win as a Detroit Pistons head coach, and it was a really good win to set the tone. It was a physical win. It was a win that the Detroit Pistons played their style of game, and unfortunately for the Charlotte Hornets, they couldn't match the physicality of the Pistons. It's that simple. The Pistons shot 45% from the field compared to 37.5% for the Charlotte Hornets. 21 of 25, 84% for the free throw line, like we mentioned earlier. The three-point percentage, 33% for Detroit. The steals, 13-7 in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. The blocks, 7-6 in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. The points in the paint was a really big number, 54 points in the paint for Detroit compared to 48 for the Charlotte Hornets. The rebounds, 53-41 compared to 53-41 in favor of Detroit, with 12 big offensive rebounds. As far as who stood out for the Detroit Pistons, Alec Burks. He played really, really well for Detroit, coming off the bench, 24 points. He finished with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block, and he was 90% from the free throw line in this game. Jaden Ivey coming off the bench with 18 points, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds. You'll love to see it there. Cade Cunningham, like we said earlier, with 12 points. We didn't even need him that much tonight. Big Stu finished with 15 points with 7 rebounds, a block, and Jalen Duren, the Junkyard Dog. This man is going to be the most improved player of the year. Try and prove it to me otherwise. 14 points, 17 rebounds, 2 blocks, 3 assists. This guy is going to be something really special. By the way, shout out to Marvin Bagley with 14 points, with 4 rebounds and assists. A good physical win for the Detroit Pistons over the Charlotte Hornets. But now I want to talk about the home opener at Little Caesars Arena in the 3-1-3 against the Chicago Bulls, and the Pistons won by a final score of 118-102, despite the fact that Zach LaVine had a career-high 51 points. I need to say something about my winter hometown of Chicago real quick. The Bulls, y'all are pathetic, bro. Y'all are pathetic. When you scored the same amount of points that Zach LaVine did on Saturday, you know what shows me? Y'all soft. Y'all soft. Y'all soft as Charmin toilet paper or paper towel. I don't know what the hell Charmin is a brand for, but I do know this. Charmin is the brand of the Chicago Bulls identity. Yes, it is. Why, yes, it is, because the Chicago Bulls didn't have any identity. Clearly, the Detroit Pistons did a really good job of being more physical than the Chicago Bulls. Their identity of more physicality showed again. He showed again. And overall, the Pistons were a much better team. The Pistons were like men amongst boys right now, while the Chicago Bulls in the home opener on Saturday played like little kids. The Detroit Pistons played like grown-ass men, and it showed. Jalen Duren had 23 points and 15 rebounds as the Pistons overcame a career-high 51 points of Zach LaVine to beat the Bulls. Zach LaVine said about the core of him, DeRozan, and Vucevic, it's our 3rd year here together, and we know how this business is. We all love each other. DeMar is one of my best friends, and we talk all the time, but we have to figure out how to make this work. And LaVine a big game time decision with back spasms, and Zach LaVine said, you know me, they're going to play. He's going to play. I love the fact that Zach LaVine has a whole lot of grit for Chicago. I wish I could say the same thing for the rest of the Bulls team, but I'm not talking about the Bulls. I'm talking about the Detroit Pistons. And Cade Cunningham added 25 points and 10 rebounds for Detroit, who ended a 15-game losing streak to the Chicago Bulls, while Alec Burks added 18 off the bench. The Junkyard Dog said after this game, I think Cade and I are just kind of a match. He's got a high IQ, and I've got a high IQ, and we know the type of players we are. When he's got the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen, so I'm going to try to get the ball to him. I love that he says that. I love Jalen Duren's mentality right now. He's not selfish. He's not entitled. He wants to help the Pistons win. See, the Monty Williams effect is just taking over Detroit, and I absolutely love it. Rookie Ausar Thompson had 9 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists in Detroit's home opener. He also helped hold LaVine to 2 points in the final 8 minutes. So, about Ausar Thompson real quick. I'm not that concerned about his slow start on the offensive end. I know what kind of a talent Ausar Thompson is. I think as more games happen for Detroit, I think the offensive confidence for Ausar Thompson is going to build and build rather quickly. Monty Williams said, it's hard to explain all the ways he's making winning plays on the floor. He had a track down steal on LaVine that most players can't do. And he's blocking jump shots by guys that most defenders can't even close out. He's doing that, and he's just getting started. This guy is underrated. Ausar Thompson has a basketball IQ that Overtime Elite did a really good job of building up. I think Overtime Elite is the standard right now of what NBA-ready players should be doing. Overtime Elite, in my view, helps players learn to understand the game, help players read the game, read tendencies, read defenses, read and react to plays. I think more players are going to choose Overtime Elite to come out of the draft from the G League, but that's another story for another day. Great win for the Detroit Pistons, and who, by the way, outscored the Chicago Bulls 34-25 in the fourth quarter and 28-18 in the second. Again, it was a men amongst boys game like the Charlotte Hornets. The Detroit Pistons played like grown-ass men, while the Bulls and the Hornets played like little boys in the schoolyard, and the stats show it. 52% from the field for the Detroit Pistons, 42% from three-point range compared to 42% for the Bulls, 40% from three for Chicago. At least Chicago made 11 threes. I mean, I'm shocked considering the fact that they're one of the worst teams in three-point percentage right now, and it's not even close. The free throw percentage, pretty even as far as percentage goes, but Detroit had more attempts than the Chicago Bulls, 20-16 on that regard. The rebounds, clearly an advantage for the Detroit Pistons, 53-32 compared to 15 offensive rebounds. The Pistons did an amazing job of boxing out. They were more physical than Chicago. They wanted more 50-50 balls than Chicago. And again, the effort of Detroit on that side of the floor really stood out, as well as the paint. 58-36 in favor of Detroit. I mean, to be honest, they could have had 60 points in the paint, and the Pistons dominated and simply took care of business. Shout out to Zach LaVine, though, for 51 points. He also finished with 4 rebounds and a steal, but he had 4 turnovers. As far as Detroit, Jalen Duren, 23 points, 15 rebounds. Another double-double for this man. 5 assists and 2 blocks. Cade Cunningham, he's back. 25 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, and he made Kobe White on skates. He broke Kobe White's ankles. It was so nasty that I didn't want to even believe it. And I mean, Kobe White, if you are listening to this, my guy, you better tie your shoes. You better double knot your shoes. You better double knot your laces, or else you're going to get killed with another crossover tonight against Indiana, because low-key, I expect the Indiana Pacers to dominate the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I hate to be honest, but As a Bulls fan, I need to keep it real. The Bulls are just straight up pathetic. Alec Burks did another amazing job, 18 points with 2 rebounds and a block tonight. Marvin Bagley had 11 points last night. Asar Thompson had 9 points, but I'm not worried about the offense right now for Asar Thompson. Defensively, he did an amazing job. 12 rebounds, 5 assists. He also had a big block and a big steal. So I think the Pistons, out of the Cavs and the Kings, the Pistons have a great amount of momentum right now. They are feeling really, really good, coming off of 2 wins against teams that they were supposed to win against, but they are taking on the OKC Thunder right now, and I am really, really looking forward to this game tonight. The key matchup that I'm excited to watch, Jalen Duren versus Chet Holmgren. You better grab your popcorn, grab your snacks, grab your drinks, do what you gotta do, because let me tell you something right now. Chet Holmgren versus Jalen Duren is going to be a dynamite matchup again for 2 guys that will be forces in the paint for years to come. Detroit, if they want to win this game, they need to remain physical on the defensive side of the ball. As far as defense, they got to watch out for shooters. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Dort are the 2 big shooters for the OKC Thunder. Jay Will can shoot a 3 as well as Chet Holmgren. So defensively, I think that the Detroit Pistons need to watch out for shooters, because the Thunder are a team that have a lot of shooters and they can shoot the dang ball. Jalen Duren, I need you to contain Chet Holmgren. If you let Chet Holmgren go off, it's over for you. And if Monty Williams gets another win, we're going to be 3-1, and I'm going to be saying on tomorrow's show that the Detroit Pistons went from the worst team in the league to right now contenders this early in the season. I am really excited for Detroit. This team is going to be something special. Monty Williams has a winning culture that the 313 hasn't had in a couple years, and I am here for it. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313, and you can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, wherever you listen to this show. Give the show a follow on the platforms. If you can, please go to anchor.fm/CLESK313. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out, and give Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313 a 5-star review. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg, and I will see you tomorrow as we recap the Pistons and the Thunder and preview a personal revenge game for Cleveland as they look to avenge their playoff loss to the New York Knicks on Halloween night. But we will see you right back here tomorrow on another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313.